Hi, welcome to this demonstration showing some of the new features from Jenkins X3, which is currently in alpha, and Terraform Cloud as well. Okay, just to kick things off, we have some information on the website. This is the Jenkins X website. If you've not seen it already, we have the JX3 alpha getting started guides, so go and check that out. I'm just going to jump straight in and show you getting started with Jenkins X3 and Terraform Cloud. So some of the principles we've been looking at with Jenkins X3 is to try and have a clearer separation of concerns so it's easier to maintain and debug and use Jenkins X3. So for a successful installation, what we really need is we have a secret store so that people can actually put their secrets inside there. They're not local on a laptop, for example, so we can have future upgrades work well. And that's managed in the service, so whether that's Google Secrets Manager or maybe a different cloud provider storage, Vault or as well. Now, to be able to also have a successful Jenkins X installation, we need to set up a number of cloud resources. So that might be storage accounts or IAM bindings, or just even a Kubernetes cluster as well. So there's lots of things we want to be able to create up front and have managed as well. So what we've been looking at is using Terraform to actually have a more generic way to be able to interact with these different cloud providers and also to manage the cloud resources. So what we can actually do, Terraform's really, really great at being able to create modules and reuse modules to be able to interact, say, with Amazon or Google Azure that we've got here. So we're busy working on Jenkins X3 to having great support for these initial cloud providers, and then we'll extend this out to others as we go along. Obviously, we're looking for any contributions and help to be involved in this journey. We've already got some great people involved in this, so come and join in. And there's also a SIG on every other Friday, which you can check out on the community pages from the website. Okay, now getting started with Terraform is good, but what we actually started looking at was Terraform Cloud. Terraform Cloud is a nice service from HashiCorp that enables us to point to our Git repositories that we use for both the infrastructure and for the Jenkins X cluster. What Terraform Cloud will actually do is actually manage the Git repository for all of our infrastructure. So there's a nice model here that they can actually have 5 free users can sign up and work in the same organization for free, which works out really, really great for us. And we recommend it for other people wanting to just kick the tires and get started with Jenkins X as well. Okay, so we could just go ahead and sign in here. This will probably be fairly familiar to anybody that's worked with kind of any CI SASs around. We create a number of workspaces that actually link through to a Git repository that contains the Terraform module to be able to be planned and applied. We've got an existing one here, but then what we'd actually go and do, we're going to create from scratch a brand new cluster, all the cloud resources managed by Terraform, and then we're also going to show the Jenkins X3 installation as well, and so that show you how easy it is to get up and running with it in a good state from a usable state for your needs. Okay, one of the things we have and you can see this through the documentation on the website, but we have a number of quick starts for our Git repositories. As said before, we'll have a Git repository for all of our infrastructure. This contains our Terraform modules. And we'll also create a Git repository for the cluster as well. So this is for any applications that get installed, including the Jenkins X installation as well. This will all be stored and managed by GitOps via this Git repository. So from this organization, we can actually go ahead and create some Git repositories. We can use this template. Let's go ahead and create this in a shared repository. JX3 JR test 1. Okay, let's do infra 1. So it's a bit clearer. This is for our infrastructure. Okay, I'm going to create from this Git repository template, and it's going to go ahead. Great, so we have a Git repository for our infrastructure. And let's go and, whilst we're here, let's also create a Git repository for our Jenkins X installation. here we can see we're actually going to choose for GKE, and this is the secret store. So we have other ones for Vault, but this will actually integrate with Google Secrets Manager. Let's use this template. Let's put it in the same org. JX3 JR cluster 1. Okay, great. So we created from our templates, we have a infrastructure repository, and we have the cluster repository as well. What we're going to do with Terraform Cloud now is create a new workspace that points to this Git repository. Any changes that we get proposed as a pull request, the plan will be verified like a CI job in Terraform Cloud. And when it's merged, it will actually be applied, and the clusters and cloud resources will be created or destroyed if that's one of the things that you do. So that's okay. We can go ahead and let's copy that org and Git repo. We go into Terraform Cloud. We're going to create a new workspace. I've already set up a VCS version control integration, so that's with my GitHub account. Let's go ahead. Now it's looking through for the org. It might take a little while, so we can go ahead and just add that in, copy pasted from our repo that we've just created. And we're going to create a workspace. So what this is going to do is going to set up some webhooks on the Git repository as well, so that any changes that we actually propose or merge into that Git repository will then trigger builds within Terraform Cloud. Okay, so that's all set up. Now to get started, we actually need to give Terraform Cloud a number of Terraform variables and also an environment variable set, so that we can actually, Terraform can actually speak and create resources within our Google Cloud project. So let's go ahead and do this. These are all going to be documented on the website as well, so you don't have to follow here. And we may be adding more as we go along. But let's just go ahead and start adding these in. This is the Google Cloud project that we're going to use. We're going to create our resources in. We're going to give it we need to also give a Git URL for the cluster. This is the second repo that we created. Again, this is going to contain the requirement or any applications that get installed. So it'll be the Jenkins X Installation, but also users' own applications that will all be managed by GitOps. So let's copy that repo. So that's our URL for our cluster configuration. Also up front, we need to create a bot user. This is the username and Git token to be able to interact with our Git repositories that we've created, so that when we need to trigger any builds or we need to go and pull, do any chat ops within the Jenkins X, this is all automatically set up, but it needs a username and a Git token to be able to interact with these Git repositories. So here we've set one up before. There's information on the website to be able to create this. Let's go ahead. This is also known as a bot user. So there we go. Save that. Let's add the token. Now I'm just going to do this off screen so that I don't need my token. Let's go ahead and do this. So this is just a personal access token that's been created on the via GitHub. Okay, save that. Let's pull that back down again. Okay, now we said up front that we could use Vault to store our secrets. That would install Vault into the cluster, backed by cloud storage. But what this demonstration is going to show is being able to switch between different storage providers. And because we're using Google Cloud, let's use Google Secrets Manager. So let's enable that. Now, lastly, the last thing we need to do is add in environment variables so that Terraform Cloud has Karma to be able to create these cloud resources in our Google Cloud project. Now, right now we've created a Google service account with quite a lot of permissions, so it's actually got project owner at the moment. We're going to be reducing those permissions that are needed for that service account to run under. But for now, that is an owner. Google credentials is the key, and let's again move this off screen so that I can securely add in the service account. Now the service account needs to be, when it's added into Google Terraform Cloud, any new lines need to be removed, but there's information to help you do that. Okay, so that's it. That's now configured everything in Terraform Cloud to be able to provision our new cluster and cloud resources associated for this installation, and then be able to install Jenkins X using the Git repository template that we created at the start as well. So we'll have two repos, one managed by Terraform Cloud, which is for our infrastructure. The second is the cluster repo, which will be managed by Jenkins X. All right, so let's go back to our runs. We're going to manually trigger a plan to start with. Any subsequent ones will actually be done via Git by making pull requests and merges into the main line for the Git repository for our infrastructure. So this will probably take a few minutes. We'll just leave it here and probably speed up the video. Okay, so the apply has finished. So we have now have a 3-node cluster that's been created, which is again all configurable. We've got service accounts and iron bindings and buckets all being created and being managed by Terraform. Once this apply finished, a Helm chart was installed for the Jenkins X3 Git operator. Now that Git operator is monitoring the second Git repository we created for the cluster, and that is out performing the Jenkins X installation, which we can go ahead and have a look at. So let's connect to our cluster using Gcloud. It's our new cluster that's been created. And now we can also have a look at the Jenkins X installation that's been run. And we can see the installation has been happening, and this is just applying all the Kubernetes resources needed for the installation. We've got a number of custom resource definitions being applied, roles as well, everything that's needed for the installation for Jenkins X to be successful, and then continue to be able to be usable by deploying, extending and adding in different, different integrations. Maybe you want some monitoring with Prometheus or some alerting, and cert manager for automated TLS and various other things. Well, this will also be used to apply users' own applications into different environments as well. Okay, so that's actually going ahead, and that installation is going on. Let's also have a look at Octant. This is the UI, the open source UI that we're using to be able to have better insight into into Jenkins X. Over in the next coming weeks, we're going to have better health and understanding of an installation, better views coming up in Octant as well. Okay, so we have an overview of the default namespace that's been run. What we should be able to do is have a look at our Jenkins X, the JX installation namespace. And we should be able to track how that installation is going. Okay, great. So we can see that we've got some resources being created. We've got some cron jobs that are useful, that are used during the Jenkins X to clean things up. We've got some deployments that have been applied as well. So you can see here the status is red, so it's probably just the images are being pulled down onto the cluster. Let's go and have a little look at one of them. Here we say, so there we can see that the Lighthouse Keeper, one of the components of Jenkins X installation, is progressing. So that's happening. We should see shortly those images, those settings statuses go green. Here you can see some of them have started to go green. Again, we'll get some better views as the health of installation, and so we can track progress as well. So we can use this via Octant, or we can use it via the command line interface that we have here. So here we can see that what this installation is also doing is interacting with Google Secrets Manager. So what we could actually have a look at is, what was the cluster name? So Immune Aardvark. What we can actually do is have a look at secrets that have been automatically populated into Google Secrets Manager, and they actually get replicated inside the cluster into Kubernetes secrets by something called External Secrets, which is a project, open source project from GoDaddy. But let's go and have a Gcloud Secrets. So this is one I've used before. So Gcloud Secret List in the project that we're using. Let's grep for our cluster name. So we can see, so we've got some default secrets that have been set up. If you want to maintain these going forward, then you can actually use directly the Gcloud command, or we also have some JX Secret plugin, a CLI plugin, to be able to make editing secrets a little bit easier as well. So this, the main secret store here, as we've said, is Google Secrets Manager, but this could be Vault or other cloud providers' secret store as well. And then they ultimately get replicated inside the cluster as well. So all set up automatically. So things are going ahead. We can see the status and behind. Hopefully it shouldn't be too much longer. And we'll just wait by here for that to go green. Okay, so now we have all of our deployments are green. We should be able to check the logs from the Git operator, just to confirm that everything's been verified. This is actually a second installation that's actually occurring. So this is good. What's actually happened here is there was a bidirectional sync, so there have been some extra configuration options that have been automatically detected and then updated for the Git repository for our cluster. So that's gone back and been pushed back to the Git repository, which then ultimately triggered a second run. And here we go. We can see that everything's been verified and everything is running as expected. If we go back and have a look at the Git repository, we should be able to see that change. And here we go. This was 2 minutes ago, that was regenerated. And this is the URLs and any hashes to be updated being pushed back into the Git repository, which we can see is working now. So any subsequent changes to the cluster repo, any changes will then be synced by the Git operator for Jenkins X. Any infrastructure changes to the infrastructure repo will be managed by Terraform Cloud. So now from here, we have a healthy environment. We could actually then go in and create a brand new quick start. So JX project, create. And from here, the same as always, you can create a new application using the CLI or import existing Git repositories for your own applications for automated CI/CD, which then gets deployed into our newly created cluster as well. Okay, from here we'll probably just clean up everything because let's tidy up those cloud resources. Again, going back to Terraform Cloud, we can delete this, correct that is the correct repo, and then we can destroy that. Queue the plan, and then we'll confirm it, and that will then apply, removing any cloud resources that we've created as part of this demo. Okay, thanks for watching. Please reach out using the community pages on the website if you have any questions, any feedback, also if you'd like to be involved. We've already got some great people involved in providing support and helping develop the support for different cloud providers. So please come and join in. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.